Hello and welcome to the Federal. My name is Shroff. The release date of superstar Rajinikanth's upcoming film Jailer has been announced. The film will hit the screens on August 10th, and as expected, fans are over the moon. But Jailer is an important film for superstar Rajinikanth and director Nelson. The makers have gone all guns blazing to ensure that the film is made on a huge canvas. So what's so great about Jailer? Why is it important for Rajinikanth and director Nelson? Well, to talk more about it, I have our in-house assistant editor, Shubha Kirtana, who's been writing about entertainment for 13 years. Hello, Shubha. Thank you for joining the show.
Thanks for having me, Shreyas.
Our pleasure, Shubha. Shubha, how excited are you about Jailer?
I think everybody is quite excited about the film because it is supposedly meant to bring, Rajinikanth back in the spotlight. Considering how his earlier films, be it Annaatthe or Darbar for that matter, didn't quite do well at the box office. So the makers are making sure that there is no stone unturned, for the buzz. So everybody is equally excited to see Rajinikanth back in that mass avatar.
I'll get to that mass avatar in a bit. What do you think fans are expecting from this film?
See, I think I'm a bit doubtful here because, considering the filmography of Nelson, all of his films had been, black comedy or, heist. He's a huge fan of heist genre, so as to speak. So when people were expecting that his film Doctor would be of certain kind, it really was not. It changed Sivakarthikeyan that we knew him as an entertainer. Uh, the whole movie we saw him with stoic expressions. So the same happened with Beast. People were expecting that this would be of certain film, but it was totally it was the opposite. So considering that we have Rajinikanth here, we really don't know what the man has in store for us. So if it's gonna be a full-on superstar film, or if it's gonna be Rajinikanth film, or if it's gonna be Nelson film, I think we need to wait and watch.
See, that was my next question. So, having known Nelson's film biographies, is it going to be a Nelson's film or a Rajinikanth's film? Because you said fans are expecting to watch Rajinikanth in a mass avatar. So, what do you think Nelson has in mind?
Considering the little footage is available online and the glimpses that we got from the promos, I think it's going to be 50-50 because that is how the arrangement even would have worked with them, I guess, I think, somewhere you need to draw a mid ground. So it is interesting how, the expressions of superstar has been a bit, restrained in the promo thing. So I'm hoping it's not going to be the usual Rajinikanth for sure.
Okay. See, Jailer has. Okay, to rephrase my question, Rajinikanth is already a pan-India star, right? Even before this whole pan-India phenomenon started a few years ago, he was known all across the country. But in this film, the film has stars from across the country. You have Jackie Shroff, you have Kolamaavu
Kokila,
Mohanlal. So why are so many stars from across the country being roped into one film? I mean, is it to get a bigger opening, or what do you think is their plan?
I think it's a mix of everything, right? Because the thing that started with Bahubali or RRR or the so-called pan-India films, makers promoted it that way. I think the whole objective of this exercise is to make everybody watch this film. Because someone from Karnataka would be excited because it has Kumar in it, and equally that's the case with Mohanlal. His fans would be like, there is Lalitan in the frame. So let me go and watch the film. So I think the whole objective is to unite the lovers of cinema. I see it that way. Beyond your business prospectus and other things, I think the whole objective is to celebrate the man, celebrate, the superstar.
But if I can ask you this question, of course, Shivraj Kumar in Karnataka or Mohanlal in Kerala or let's say Jackie Shroff, they're all superstars in their own right. But does Rajinikanth need the support or the help of these other superstars?
And I don't think it's right to see it in that way, whether superstar needs the support, so as to speak. But it's nice, the more the better. I think the more the merrier. I think we have to look at it, that way. And I think it's about time. Say, 20 years before, I don't think this would have been the case. But now, considering how things have changed, how things have evolved, I think it's about time. The decision of roping in all kinds of actors or stars, I think it elevates the project to a certain level. I think it's about time. I think that would be my answer.
To be very honest, Nelson's last film, Beast, starring Vijay, didn't do as well as expected. Let's be very honest with each other. So
yeah, it was a total disappointment, considering that how I love Vijay. I was very disappointed to see that there was a major disconnect between the audience. I quite didn't understand what was happening, on screen. I think probably, Nelson as a person, I think he has a lot of interesting ideas, and sometimes when you write it down, you're on point, you're like bang on. But when you translate those ideas onto screen, and I think, Nelson went terribly wrong with translating his ideas onto big screen. I think the mistake would have happened there. But, Beast was a disappointment. And so was Annaatthe.
And then that means he would be under more pressure to make Jailer, he would have to bounce back.
I think there was this issue, when the initial announcement was made, there was a huge ruckus on social media saying that, considering how Beast was a failure, there were talks about how Nelson was getting replaced by someone. But I think at the same day or, a couple of days later, I think they made an announcement, and, I think Superstar himself changed his DP or cover picture, or I don't remember the exact details, but I think they trusted him more. So Nelson, was retained, so as to speak.
Now, moving on to Rajinikanth. I'm a huge fan of Rajinikanth, but having said that, from the time, let's say from Kabali onwards, if you look at his filmography, they've not been those super duper success. Even Annaatthe was made to look like it was a big hit. But in reality, among journalists, among critics, the story was quite different. So why do you think it was done, and how do you think it will have an impact on Jailer?
See, Annaatthe was said to have made 200 crore at the box office. It was said to have made, that amount of money, but really, I'm not sure. Only producers can vouch for it. But even these days, I'm really not a fan of exaggerated, box office figures, but they're always, flared up. But Annaatthe really did not do well. Why I can say this is, I think, the third or fourth day that my mother, who's a very ardent fan of Superstar, wanted to see the film. And I just walked into the theater, the whole theater was empty. And we just went there, asked for the tickets, and on time we were, permitted into the show. So this happens after 3 days of the release. I think it was Wednesday or Thursday, I'm not sure. So yeah, the film didn't do well, and it's because I got the film. It was a mini. It was an on-screen version of soap operas. It seemed like we saw those serials on big screen. People crying and people hugging each other, and overly dramatic it was. I think Jailer will be a crucial film for both Superstar and Nelson. Considering how both of their previous outings, they didn't do well. So I think expectations are very huge for this film.
Last two questions before I let you go, Shubham. Jailer is releasing on August 10th, and that's, they're trying to take the Independence Day weekend, At the same time, there's a Chiranjeevi's film that's releasing, and at the same time, there's Animal releasing in Hindi.
Yeah.
And Jawan has been postponed to August.
Yeah.
So
Jawan has been postponed. Yeah.
So all these films clashing at the box office with, let's say, a gap of 2-3 days. How do you think will it be?
See, any big release is a kind of festival, right? I see this way, like nobody is gonna eat into anybody's meat. I think the fans of Rajinikanth will come and celebrate their idol in a big way, and so as Animal or so as any other film star for that matter. So everybody, see, the beauty of this film industry is that it has space for everybody. It has space for Rajinikanth. It has it has a space for smaller stars. So it has space. It beautifully accommodates everybody, and that's how I see it that way.
Okay. My last question, your final thoughts on Jailer.
Jailer, you either gonna like Jailer or you're gonna hate it. I think there is no mid ground with it. So let's say if you're a fan of it and then you love it, I think it's gonna be this extreme film. I mean, it's just a hunch they have. I mean, that I have.
Let's just hope there's another super hit for our superstar Rajinikanth. Thank you,
Right.
Shubha. Thank you for joining on the show.
Thank you, Shreya.
As always, it was nice talking to you. Thank you.
Subscribe to the Federal's YouTube page for more interesting updates.